Right, welcome along to 4NTV Live this morning. We're just going to play with the tech in the background and make sure everything's working, so bear with me for a minute when I just look at my laptop and see what's going on. There, hopefully Todd is in the background sharing this into the community. Right, everything's pinging up on my laptop, so let's see if I can actually see myself. That's always a good start. There we go, I can see it, so hopefully I'll see the comments as they start coming in. We're a few minutes early, it's 8:28, so I won't actually start with the main bit of 4NTV Live for another couple of minutes. So meanwhile, I'm going to say, bizarrely for me on a Saturday morning, I'm actually quite full of energy. I'm not quite sure why. I think maybe it's all that 4N buzz going on in the background. Usually for us, a Saturday is our 6th school day of the week. Our eldest is big into a sport, so we do every Saturday morning, we're having to get up early and usually get her to school for either 8 or 8:30 to go and do a school fixture. But unfortunately, she's injured. Nothing major. You know, we spent a couple of hours in A&E last night with her. It's nothing major. She's sore. She's not happy, but it's nothing's broken. But what it does mean, and every cloud has a silver lining, it means no fixtures for her today. So that means I don't have to dash off from this to take her to school to play netball. And then I don't have to pick her up from netball to take her off to play hockey this afternoon. So it has relieved me of some mum taxi's duties, which is quite handy really. And although obviously she's not feeling too great about it, she'd much rather be playing sport than sitting on the sofa and watching TV all day. God bless teenagers. So that's my Saturday sorted out to a certain extent, although I do have to take my youngest daughter to school this morning because she's got to do an open day at school and show around new parents. So after this, I will still be doing a school run, just not the one I thought I'd be doing. So we got a few comments coming in. So I've seen Brad and Michael, Michelle Ibs. Hi Michelle, how you doing? And Todd's there saying, okay, all set. Cool. It's 8:30, so let's get cracking. So off to the script. So good morning. I'm Claire McTernan from No Fluff Just Results, and thank you for joining me on 4NTV Live. I've just done all my introductory bits, so I won't do anything else. I'll just crack on. Okay, right, we're now going to start the 40-word round. So instead of 40 seconds, any of you can send me up to 40 words as a Facebook comments, just in the comments below. This can be a brief pitch about you or your business, which everyone tuned in will be able to see, right? Now, I won't attempt to read all of them, but I'll try and pick a few out as long as I can see them pop up. Yep, I can see them popping up, so that's great. As a tip for future weeks, prepare this ahead of time and then just paste it in as a comment below. So while you're typing in your 40 words, I'm going to start now, and as I have sound, I'm going to do my usual 40 seconds. So here we go. So who out there sells a service? Yeah, if you're like me, you do. I sell services. Do you find sometimes there's just not enough time to get everything done? You're so busy delivering those hours to your clients, but you don't have time to actually work on your business. So the net effect is that your business kind of stays still. You don't get the growth you really, really desire. Well, I'm Claire McTernan, the only person in the whole of the UK to specialise in sustainable growth for businesses just like that. And this week on Tuesday, I did a live event, in the flesh. It wasn't on Facebook, in Birmingham. I had 35 people in the room and we had a great time. I shared loads of valuable content about dealing with that exact issue, about how to deal with releasing more capacity, releasing more time in your day, delivering great stuff to your clients and still growing your business. Now I've got another one of those events coming up. So if you're interested in that, just say, yes, Claire, send me the details in the comments below and I'll send you the details as soon as the event go live. I love what I do. I'm all about results and not the fluffy stuff that goes around it. So if you want something like that, if you want to up level your service business, then say, Claire, send me the link in the comments below. So let's see who's given us their 40-word round. So I see Hayley's popping up, James, Michelle Ibs, virtual assistant. Todd's saying, yes, Claire. Well, you know my stuff, Todd. I don't think you want to come and spend another day with me. Kimber Cooper, we've got Kimber from digital marketing. She helps businesses step up their game. Who else? We've got Bjorn, look after people's travel needs. There's loads of people on here. Anybody else is going to pop up while I'm looking? Who's next? Graham Todd's just popped up again. Anybody else going to type anything in while I'm waiting for a few seconds? Nope, maybe my screen's frozen. Okay, so there's loads of lovely 4Ners online. So let's just keep typing those 40 words in. As people watch this later on, they'll read back through them. So please keep doing them. Fantastic. So, right, it's now time for the Foresight slot, which is what we're here. So Michael's just put results indeed. You're watching one of the top 4 networking regional leaders. That is kind of true. But it's not me. I might be have one of the best regions in the country, but it's nothing to do with me. I just have awesome teams. So we're going to crack on to the Foresight now. So this is time for the Foresight slot, which, just as at 4 networking meetings, isn't a sales pitch, but an insight into a specialist field, experience, or interesting area of your life. So my Foresight is entitled Time is Like a Ball of Play-Doh. Now, although I can't see you today, it would be great to know that you're watching, so please send me comments throughout and keep hitting the like and emoji buttons whenever you feel like it. Okay, cool. So, like the title implies, I'm going to tell you about why time is like a ball of Play-Doh. Now, the reason I do this Foresight is because, for me, if you have time, you have choice. You know, when we feel overwhelmed, when we feel like we're working way too hard, when we feel like life is crowding in on us, it's invariably because we don't feel like we have time to get everything done that we want to. Does that sound familiar? Anybody resonate with that? Anybody, hi Helena, anybody sort of like feel like, you know, if only they had more time, they could actually have a calmer life? Well, today I'm going to explain why, especially in a service business, sometimes it feels like you don't have enough time and then you struggle to get the growth you're after for your business. So let's crack on. Now, I've got a few visual aids. Obviously, if I'm talking about Play-Doh, you need to be able to see something, don't you? So we're going to pretend our business day is full up with 3 colours of Play-Doh, okay? So this red Play-Doh here, it's like I have to move in bizarre ways. So this red Play-Doh, this red Play-Doh is the delivery Play-Doh, okay? This is the bit that gives you your billable hours. Yellow Play-Doh is going to be the admin, all the stuff we have to do to make the wheels go round, like emailing clients and doing the invoicing, that kind of stuff. And the blue Play-Doh is all the biz dev. Now, I'm sure subconsciously I chose blue because it's the 4 end colours, and obviously if you're going networking, that is an element of business development, okay? So those are the 3 core colours of Play-Doh that we're going to talk about for my Foresight. So what actually happened? So when life is nice and calm and chilled and you feel like you're in total control of your day, then it probably means your Play-Doh looks a little bit like this. So 50% of your time is used up with your core delivery, that core bit that generates your income. Then you've got 25% of your time is used up in the admin. Now the admin, you have to do it. If you're dealing with clients, working with clients, there's always admin associated with that. You're chasing them for bits of information, you're setting up meetings, you're raising the invoices, you know, there's always admin associated with that core delivery. And then ideally, you've got some time doing the blue Play-Doh. You've got some time, which in this ideal, lovely scenario, 25% of your time, working on growing your business. You know, now I know when my ball of Play-Doh looks like this, and I've got these ratios going on in my business, I'm lovely and chilled. I'm only spending 50% of my time on core delivery. Everything is great and I feel quite chilled. Now, for the majority of people, that's not what their ball of Play-Doh looks like. Very few people only spend 50% of their time on core delivery. What's a bit more normal is this situation. So now your core delivery has squeezed up and is taking about 70-ish%, 75% of your time. That is starting to feel quite stressful. You know, the yellow Play-Doh is still having to happen because you still have, if anything, you have more admin to do because you're managing more work. So you're still having to arrange client meetings, you're still having to do all those emails to clients, you're still having to do the invoicing. So the yellow always exists. We always find time for the yellow. So obviously it can only add up to 100%. So what do we squeeze out? We squeeze out the blue Play-Doh. That business development element gets squeezed out because our head tells us that that's a bit of a luxury. Hi Helen, I love you too. Our head tells us that that biz dev is a luxury because it's more important to do the core delivery because right now that's where the money is. Now that isn't sustainable. And you know what? This starts to feel a little bit stressful, and even if this was okay, none of us actually run our days like that. None of us run our weeks like that. If we had a week like this, that would mean we'd start doing delivery on Monday morning and we'd deliver all the way through until Thursday lunchtime. We'd spend Thursday afternoon, Friday morning on admin and Friday afternoon on biz dev. And to be honest, if we did that, that would probably be quite a chilled way of doing it. But that's not what life looks like. We don't compartmentalise stuff that way. What we tend to do is have something that looks a little bit more like this. You know, it's all a bit more mixed up and blobby. You know, obviously this is obviously a networking meeting we went to here. There's a big chunk of admin time here. but it's all starting to get a bit more mixed up, and we're just doing our business. We're just running the business. We're not thinking about those discernible bits of time or where our time's going. We're just running our business. Thank you for all the emojis. They look fab on my screen. Now, but you know what? Our week doesn't even look like that. It may feel like it does, but actually it doesn't. It looks more like this yucky ball of Play-Doh. And I tell you, this happens really, really easily. Now, I'm not sure how well you can see it, but there's still the odd little bit of colour. There's a bit of blue there, and there's the odd little bit of yellow. There's a bit of yellow over here. You know, this yucky ball of Play-Doh, this is what stress and overwhelm feels like. Okay, and that is where most of us hang out. When we're just busy running our businesses day in, day out, we're living with a yucky ball of Play-Doh. That yucky ball of Play-Doh feels really overwhelming. That's when you start panicking because you can't get everything done. And I tell you, when you're in that ball of Play-Doh, business development is not something you're thinking about. You may get to go to the odd 4N meeting and that kind of stuff, but you're not really driving your business forward. You're just doing a tiny little bit of growth, but you're not getting those huge results you wanted. And I'm pretty sure when you woke up on the 1st of January this year, you weren't thinking, oh, I'll just do a tiny little bit of growth and not worry about it too much. I'm sure you had a big goal. But the reason people don't achieve those goals is because they hang out in this ball of Play-Doh. They hang out in a really stressy place. So why? Why does that happen? It's not like any of us wake up in the morning and go, yay, I want to hang out in a really stressy ball of Play-Doh. I want my life to feel chaotic and overwhelmed. Well, I reckon it happens for 3 core reasons. The first one is invariably people have got the wrong pricing strategy. And that pricing strategy is then driving them to have to work a shed load of hours. Now, if you remember back to this one here, now, if this was really how you were running your business, let's try and move over. If this was really how you were doing it, that would have meant 50% of your time. So let's say if you do a 40-hour week, so 20 hours a week, that 50% was driving your revenue line. Now, for most people, their pricing means they have to be billable for more than 50% of their week. They're having to deliver client work for way more than 20 hours a week. And that means if you're having to work more than 20 hours to actually create the billable work, then all the other stuff gets pushed out into evenings and weekends, and that's when you start getting really overworked and worn out. Okay, and that's when it becomes unsustainable. So you need to look at your pricing strategy. You know, you need to check that you can actually earn the amount you want to earn without having to be billable for more than like 65% of your time. You know, people that fall into this trap loads will be VAs, digital marketing people, web designers, graphic designers, these kind of people. So if you're pricing yourself at sort of like anything sort of £40 an hour or lower, then I would really, really strongly advise you look at your pricing strategy, because you're heading for a really, really yucky ball of Play-Doh if you don't manage that sort of like interaction between those 3 colours well. So the next thing that comes along causes you a problem is a thing called Parkinson's law. Now, this is not Michael Parkinson. This is a guy called Cecil Parkinson. Now, he was a naval historian back in the 1950s, and he was brought in to do like a time and motion study in the civil service. And what he observed were 2 key laws. He observed that actually anything will sort of like a project will expand to fill the time available to do it. So for those of you, if you think about a piece of work you were going to get done, you start it in the morning, that piece of work should only take 2 hours. So say it was a piece of work for a client and you're going to say it's going to take 2 hours. You start it in the morning, but yet it seems to expand and take all day. Has that ever happened to you? It's happened to me. I'm sure it's happened to loads of you. You know, that thing just, when it should have been a nice discrete thing, just seems to take all day. That is Parkinson's law in action. He comes along and just shows that will just expand and expand to fill the time available. And then he had law number 2, which says not only will that expand to fill the time available for it, you won't actually get a better result because of it. So that basically means not only have you been very unprofitable, because what should have taken 2 hours has now taken 8, you didn't actually deliver any more value to your client. So when you've told yourself, oh, it's okay that that took 8 hours because I've delivered a way better result for my client, actually you haven't. And we all know this is true. If we think back to times when we fall into that trap, we know it's true. We know we haven't delivered anything better to the client. And that is what Parkinson's law is all about. So if you really suffer from those jobs expanding and expanding, it's because Parkinson's law is happening. I see lots of like wow emojis coming up. It happens all the time. And if you're a service-based business, it can really wreck your bottom line. This happens over and over again. So really look at how you're managing that dynamic. And then number 3, the third thing that comes along and wrecks your ball of Play-Doh is actually you. Now, I wish it wasn't. I wish there was some other easier way of explaining what goes on. But actually, it is you. It's the decisions you're making, the priorities you are setting. It's you that allows interruptions to happen. It's you that agree to client deadlines. It's you that agrees to how much work you're going to take on at any one time. It's you that manages your time maybe a little bit poorly, so Parkinson's comes in and wrecks things for you. Unfortunately, it is all you. But let me think of it this way. So what happens when you know you're about to go on holiday? When you know you're building up to going on holiday, you become scarily efficient, don't you? It's like you become like a ninja productivity person and you plow through your things to do list, don't you? We all do it. We all get really, really good at being efficient just before we go on holiday. And why is it? Well, we don't suddenly become a ninja. We don't suddenly get magical powers just because we're going on holiday, but we work really efficiently because we know there's a firm deadline. And what Parkinson's law shows is on those other days when things expand, it's because we don't believe there's a firm deadline, okay? And because we're not managing to that deadline on a daily basis, we let things just expand, okay? So just remember, if you can be super productive when you're going on holiday, you can do that every day if you choose. It really, I know it sounds simple, but it really is that straightforward. And I always like to throw a little bit of like 70s, 80s kids TV and stuff. So like, who remembers He-Man? Show me some love. Who remembers He-Man and the Masters of the Universe from when we were kids? Right? I always remember the bit when he pulls his sword out of his back and goes for the power of Grayskull, right? So using He-Man, you have the power, right? You have the power to change your ball of Play-Doh. You have the power to make that much more calmer, much more productive and efficient, get more billable hours. Yeah, He-Man was ace. I've never yet got a good picture of She-Ra though, so if anybody sees a nice picture of She-Ra, please let me know. I'd rather use She-Ra than He-Man, but you totally have the power to change that dynamic, okay? You can have a much nicer colour ball of Play-Doh by being a lot more sort of like thoughtful about how you actually manage your decisions. So on that point, let me introduce you to your business dementors. Now, I don't know if you're Harry Potter fans. I'm not a huge Harry Potter fan, but I know it well enough to know who the dementors are. Now, these are blood-sucking creatures that come along and suck the lifeblood out of you. Now, when it comes to business, we have our business dementors that come along and suck the time away from us. So show me some love this, who has some business dementors that come and just suck their lifeblood away? Now, invariably, most people will have a client that does this, that's just always on the phone. You feel like you're at their constant beck and call. That would be a classic example of a business dementor. Or maybe it's a certain task that you have to do on a regular basis that just seems to take ages and lots of time. That's a classic example of your dementor. Now, the dementors will come and screw things up for you, but you get to control how that happens. Like if you work from home and you have people that seem to think it's okay to pop around because you're only working from home, so it's not like real work. It's up to you to manage those interactions and make people understand that it's not okay to pop around just because you're working from home. You have to manage those dementors so they're not dementors. I mean, a great one for me, if I'm not careful, is how much time I spend running my 4N region. I'd be really careful with that because it's one of those jobs that you could just spend hours and hours and hours and hours on every week. But I can't afford to do that. So I'm very careful about how much time I spend doing that to make sure everything is going in the right direction. And then I make sure I spend the time on my business and with my clients. So I manage all of that. I manage my dementors so they don't become overwhelming and suck too much of my business lifeblood away. Okay, now you need to be mindful of your dementors. They are a huge impact on your business. Now, right, I'm just a normal person, right? I'm a working mum, I have a dog, I have, the usual kind of time constraints on me, but I've got really good at managing my ball of Play-Doh and making sure I have enough time to do everything without my head exploding. And I do it by being really focused on my productivity. Now, what keeps me on the straight and narrow and as productive as possible so I can keep Parkinson in his box so he doesn't come and mess up my day is being very mindful of my children. So while they're at school, I can work. I can get as much work done as I can squeeze into the day because they're at school, it doesn't impact on them. But if I don't manage my time well while they're at school, it means it will impact on them when they get home. Now, and that's not fair on them because they've had no way of influencing that. They can't influence whether I'm being productive during the day. So why should they suffer in the evenings if I have to go and get some work done? So I always stay really focused on that to help me be really efficient during the day. Don't get me wrong, right? I cannot be scarily efficient 5 days a week. I find I can do it and be really on it for 3 days, 3 consecutive days. And this is partly why I have Thursdays off. So I work really hard Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, have a day of rest on Thursday, work hard Friday, I hit the weekend. So that's partly why I have Thursdays off. So, you know, I think if you try and be too scarily efficient 5 days a week, you'll also hit burnout. You know, so it's about doing it in a way that works for you. So I'm really focused on my productivity. 2, I make sure my pricing structure is such that I don't have to work more than 50% of my time as billable hours. Okay, I make sure that works for me because otherwise I will just explode. So I make sure that's all balanced. I make some really clear decisions about how I price to work with my clients and the value they get because of it, so I don't have to kill myself to bring money in. And finally, I'm quite precise about how I do things. My clients know how to work with me and what works and what doesn't. They know I'll hit mum zone by 4:30 every day. I'm in mum zone, so they know not to try and communicate with me after 4:30, or if they do, they know not to expect an answer. Because, you know, if you find yourself always replying to clients in the evenings, and it just feels like it takes over, remember, you're choosing to do that. You're the one feeding their behaviour, because if you send them a message after hours, they're going to reply. And then you're going to feel like you have to respond. And all of a sudden, it's taken up a fair bit of time that was meant to be your personal family time. Remember, you're doing that. Yeah. Tosh just put she has Thursdays off because LBS tires her out. Well, there is an element of truth to that too. You know, remember, you're allowing that to happen. You're allowing your clients to behave in a certain way, and you have to let them know how you want them to behave, just like children and your pets, in all fairness. They need to understand that because they don't get telepathy. If you're really annoyed with a client because of the way they're constantly pestering you, you can be really annoyed, but they're not going to telepathically know that. You have to communicate that to them to get them to change their behaviour. And once you have that conversation, you will feel so much better. And I'm really good at managing that kind of thing. You know, and I love my time off, right? I live for my time off. I love my business, I love my clients, but I love being off and spending time with my family. So I make sure I manage my Ball of Play-Doh in a way that I can have the time off that I want to have. You know, in the summer I go down to 3 days a week and we have plenty of like weeks off on holiday. You know, I spend time with my kids over every school holiday. I run my business in like 6 weekly chunks to coincide with half term. That's how I do it, to make sure my head doesn't explode. You know, and it is totally possible to get your business in that situation. You don't have to have a yucky Ball of Play-Doh. You really don't. You know, it's up to you to make the decision to change it. It really does just start with a decision. Like anything, you just have to decide to use your time differently. I was going to say manage your time differently, and I don't like the phrase time management. Time is time. Just remember, we are all gifted with 24 hours every day. All of us are the same. No matter who we are, we all have 24 hours a day. The only difference is how we choose to use that time. You know, so you need to be really aware of where that time's going, who your dementors are, work it out, decide how you're going to manage them. What boundaries do you need to put in place with your clients to stop them doing your head in? What changes do you need to make to your pricing strategy so you can work less hours? Once you get those decisions in place and you implement them, you will so change that dynamic for yourself, and you'll really start to love your business again, because it's so easy to lose your business mojo purely because you are working too hard. So please go away and have a think about those 3 things: who your dementors are, whether you're pricing sensibly so you don't kill yourself, and whatever how to manage your clients. So what boundaries to put in place with your clients so they stop doing your head in and making you be at their constant beck and call. Sort those 3 things out and you'll have a much healthier business and a much more sane self. Okay, so that's my strong advice. So to sum up, time is like a ball of Play-Doh. It's totally up to you how you mould it. So I don't know if there's any questions on that, if there's going to be anything pop up. I just had somebody comment on my Facebook post from last night about my daughter in A&E, so I'm just going to get rid of that one. Good question. Hayley just popped up. What boundaries I need to put in place for my area leader role? Oh, what a great question. Hayley, my advice is decide how much time you think is reasonable to spend on being an area leader on a weekly basis. Now, that'll depend slightly on how many groups you have running each week, so I can't be too exact with that advice, but just have a think and then stick to it. What I do, I hate it if I feel like there's loads of stuff I need to get done and it's not getting done. For me, that's a stress trigger. So what I do, if I know I've got a chunk of fore-end stuff I need to get done, which is usually around communicating stuff to the teams and sorting out membership queries for people and that kind of stuff, I set my timer on my phone for whatever amount of time I think is reasonable. So usually about 40 minutes. And then I bash out all that communication and get it done really quickly in those 40 minutes. The timer goes off, I move on to the next thing. I feel better because I've done my fore-end tasks and I move on, and it hasn't expanded to fill loads of time. The other thing I do is I make fore-end phone calls while I'm driving. So that time is kind of dead time anyway, because I'm not going to be able to grow my business or do client work while I'm driving. So I try and do my fore-end stuff when I'm driving. So it's not another thing I have to do once I'm back in the office. So that would be my strong advice for managing your area leader role. And the same would be true for GL, RL, any of the roles really. Just do it, but do it at a point when it impacts on you less. Any other questions? Graham, Todd said we need more visitors. Again, just work out what you need to get done and get it done. Don't let it expand. It's a bit like revision. Find fore-end's like revision. You can never do enough of it. How do you define when you've done enough? You could always work on getting more visitors. I could always work on the region. You can always do more revision. It's the same thing. But decide how much time you want to spend on it and then stick to it. It really is that simple. And if you can do it while you're driving and do it on the phone, even better. And there's nothing better than getting people in the room than actually talking to them on the phone. So get on the phone while you drive, as long as you're doing it safely, obviously hands-free, don't touch your phone or any of that kind of stuff. Cool. Justin, excellent live, much appreciated. My pleasure. Gary, if you have a long-standing customer who is at a massively reduced rate, it's moving so quick I can't see it, but how do you put the price up? Do I have time to answer that? Probably. My advice is decide what you would like the pricing strategy to be. Then give them notice, basically write to them and say you are revising your pricing. Obviously they're a valued client, so you're not going to put theirs up for a while, but new clients are going to come on at this new rate. Tell them then in 3 months' time you will be increasing their rate. My advice would be show the new rate for new clients to be quite a lot higher and just put their rate up a bit so they feel like you're not stiffing them over straight away. Or at all, hopefully. And then just do it. Just stick at it. You'll find, realistically, if they get really annoyed, you have two choices. One, you let them walk away, or two, you keep the price where it is, right? Invariably, if they get really funny about it, they're probably not your ideal client anyway. My advice is, if you're really nervous about having that discussion, bring on some new clients at a higher price point first, which will help balance the deficit if that one does fall away. Okay, but you're just going to be a busy fool if you don't address it. So you do need to put some kind of pricing strategy in place to help you deal with that. That's a really quick answer. I'm going to have to sort of finish off. Is there one last question maybe? Stiffing them over, all of that. That was special business consultancy speak, Helena. So cool. Gary says, cheers. You can always grab me about it and ask me about it another time, Gary. Cool. So I'm now 2 minutes late. I should have done this at 8:54 according to the script. So, okay, that's it. My time is just about up. Thank you for watching my foresight. It's great to see all the comments coming in. I've not had a chance to look at them properly, but I'll reply on the page to any questions that have been raised. I will do it. I've got to dash off and take my youngest daughter to school, so I'll do it once I'm back from that. So fore-end TV Live is back here at the same time next week. So that's 8:30 on Saturday, the 14th of October, when you can join John Turner, with the foresight titled Numbers Man to Advertising Man to Designer Man. So make sure you tune in then, and we have even more Facebook Live stuff coming up. Join Fore-End's network leader, Michael Nagels, back here on Friday at 4 p.m. for his weekly roundup. He'll have a mix of news, announcements and waffling nonsense, so that you won't want to miss it. It does say that in the script. And there's also the regular Fore Development Live video presentations, providing great tips on how to develop your networking skills. These are at convenient lunchtime slots, 12 to 12:30, so look out on Mondays for our fortnightly new member bootcamp and for our presentations from Fore-End networking experts, plus check out our webinar Wednesdays. If you would like the opportunity to present an episode of Fore-End TV Live or Fore Development Live, I've done both at NoFab, then please contact your Fore-End regional leader. It's free to take part and is open to all 4N Passport members. Slots are already booked up way ahead, so get your request in now. I think I booked this one sometime like back in March or even last year. This 4N TV Live episode will continue to be available to view at any time, so please share it and add more comments. That's it for me. I hope you enjoyed today's 4N TV Live and have a great weekend, and feel free to continue networking on here on the 4N Facebook page. I've loved this. Thank you. Have a great time, and I'll see you all soon. And yes, Anna, I'll catch you on the replay. Have a great time, everybody. Bye.